Hey guys, it's Christine with Earn Spend Live, and today I'm here with Laura Davis, who's a very successful realtor in our area. So we know that buying a house is kind of a huge deal, especially if it's your first time. And Laura's the one who helped me find my first house, so we figured she'd be the perfect person to help you walk through that process and any questions you may have about it. So first, I'm going to talk to you about the house hunting process. Are there, in your opinion, any reasons that are bad for someone to buy a house?
I think buying a house is a good investment, never a bad idea. Maybe the only reason you wouldn't buy a house is if you are just have no financial support. You need to have a little bit of money saved up because inevitably something's going to go wrong in the house. Your water heater might break, or there's going to be a surprise down the line. So it would be good to have a cushion. But otherwise, usually your rent is more expensive than your house payment. Mm-hmm. So I would think there's always a good reason to buy. If you can afford to buy, I would buy instead of rent.
Otherwise, you're just throwing money away.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we know you're not the person who's actually handing out the home loan, but how important do you think it is that you are pre-approved before you even start looking to buy a house?
Definitely would start there first. A lot of people get excited and want to go start looking at houses, but being pre-approved is the best thing to do because you know how much you want to spend, you know how much. A lot of people just want to know, can I afford it? This is what I want to pay house payment wise. I want to pay $700 a month for a house payment. And your taxes and insurance are included in that payment 99% of the time. It helps the real estate agent know what your budget is, what type of loan you're going to get, because the house you buy depends on the loan type as well. Because some loans require all repairs be made for you. So you can't necessarily buy a foreclosure if you're not... If you don't have the right loan type. It's just better to know it all up front because you haven't spent time looking at $175,000 houses, but you're only approved for $150,000.
Right.
So just always start there.
So I know everyone has a list of things that they just envision in their dream house. I know I did for sure. But how often do you actually see that happen where someone ends up checking all their boxes, or can you just pretty much expect to have to sacrifice or compromise something?
I'd say unless you build a house yourself and you've picked out the lot for that house, you're not ever going to find the perfect house. But you typically end up finding the house that works for you because they say that you feel it when you walk in, and that's true.
It is true. I can definitely say that.
I have seen that happen many times. You just walk in and people are like, no, not working for me.
Yeah.
And then you walk into another one and it's like, yeah, this is it.
And then even the things that maybe aren't exactly you want, it's okay. Like for some reason you're just okay with it.
Yeah. Like I didn't need that hall closet after all because I really like this kitchen. So it just works. Something makes up for what you're losing.
Yeah. So on that note, I guess how long should you expect to spend house shopping? And is it something that kind of takes over your schedule, or is that something a realtor can work with you on?
Most real estate agents are full-time. They expect to work nights and weekends and work with you when it's convenient for you. As far as how long it takes, let's say you wanted to buy a house and you needed to be in 6 weeks. You could go look this weekend, you could find a house, and you could be closed in 6 weeks easy. It takes about a month to do the whole start to finish loan process, and that includes the inspection period, the appraisal.
How often do you see people find a house like in just a couple weeks, or is it usually like several months of searching?
It's probably, I've sold houses to people that have looked one time in one day. You looked at 5 houses, they found the one they want, that's it, I'm writing an offer. And then I've worked with people for a year, 2 years, that just can't find the one they want, and it's never like a long, you might look at what's new on the market, and they're not in any hurry, they just wait and see what pops up, and so...
It just depends on the buyer.
It depends on the buyer. It could go super fast or it could take many months.
Right. I know that like looking online for houses has become really popular, but do you recommend that? Do you think it is better to do that? I think
it's a great place to start, actually. Everything is online. It's rare that there's something that's not online. Now, there is something to know about those websites, like Zillow, realtor.com. Realtor.com doesn't have for sale by owners. And then Zillow doesn't always have every company's listing because some companies don't want theirs to be on Zillow or don't want it to be on Troya. And you choose, and that company, as a company, makes a decision whether they're going to put it on there.
Right.
So you might be looking at that site and say, I've missed that house. Why wasn't it on there? And it's just, you should probably use more than one site if that's your sole source. And then it never hurts to just drive around.
Yeah, that's a good tip, just because the house we bought was not on Zillow, and I had only been looking at Zillow. So I literally found it from driving around and was like, oh, this house is for sale too. I don't remember seeing that.
And then, of course, if you're working with an agent, the agent knows everything that's out there. So have your real estate agent send you homes, because they have access to the multi-list service, and they can send you links to everything. You could just tell them, I'm looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house with 2-car garage and fenced yard. And they send you everything that's available in your price range for your price point, and into an email with a link, and then you just can look through that, and you know you haven't missed anything.
Before you buy a house, how much should you have saved up, and which expenses should you expect?
So the common misconception is you have to have 20% down. You don't have to have that. You could get into a house with no money down. There are programs out there, especially for a first-time buyer that doesn't have a big nest egg. You could get a second loan. You have to follow in all the right criteria. That's why it's good to talk to a mortgage person. But I would definitely have a little bit saved up more for the emergencies that come up after you buy a home.
Right.
Because you can, and then of course it's always good to have, if you have a down payment or you have the money saved for your closing costs, then you can typically get in the house. It's just helpful. It's helpful, but don't worry about having 20%. That's pretty rare for people to do that anymore.
Now I want to talk to you about how to actually buy the house once you find the one you want. So first of all, what's the next step? I know I was super impatient when we found the house that I wanted, and it seemed like it was so slow to actually make it official. So what happens?
So after you find the house that you love, you tell your real estate agent, I'm ready to make an offer. And so you work through the offer process, the negotiation with the seller, and you get it agreed upon, and then the agent will send your contract to the bank, and the bank starts working on your loan. And then you give the bank all of your document and paperwork. And this part where it gets kind of slow and drags out. So you have to do the loan process at this part. And then you're also doing the home inspection at the same. You'll have the home inspection done, and then the bank will order the appraisal, and it's just more of a waiting game at this point. And it takes about a month for the whole process to complete from start to finish. So I know it gets long, but then you think, well, I'm packing and I'm getting my utilities set up. And
at what point though is it it's your house? It's not official yet, but could the buyer take a different offer at what point is that not going to happen?
Typically, when you write the contract and they sign it accepting it, and you have no contingencies, you're not trying to sell a house, or you have no reason to back out, it's yours from the day that they sign the offer.
How fast do houses typically sell, I guess, based on their price range? And is there a certain amount of time that house has been on the market that's a good time to buy? Or
this is why it's good to have an agent working with you, because an agent can tell you how quickly a house is going to move, and they can be watching the market for you. I see enough to know that, that house is going to be a good one, and I usually call my buyer and say, you need to come today and look at this house. It's going to sell quick. So.
And is if you think maybe that a house is overpriced, would you say at that point the buyer should just maybe wait for a little while longer?
A lot of people think, well, I can't afford to make for that price because that house is really $10,000 more than I want to pay. A lot of times I'll say, well, they do have it priced a little bit high. Let's make them an offer less. Because I've seen it where they just want to wait for a price drop, and then somebody comes in gets it before them. And I think, well, if this is what you want to pay for it, and it's not an unreasonable offer, I would say let's just make an offer and see what they say. And sometimes people really surprise you. They're like, oh, they took that. Wow, okay. But if it's
what happened with mine too.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
So
what happened.
You're like, I'm kind of surprised they took that, but they did. But all they can do is say no.
Right.
Nothing, no harm, no foul. So I would always, if you like it and you want to do it, just go for it.
Yeah. So how long does it take to close on a house? I know you kind of already touched on that already, but what does that process entail?
So the process, again, was about 30 days, and some loans take a little bit longer, maybe up to 45, just depends on the loan type. But the title company is the company where you go to close. And when I say close on a house, that just means you go and sign the final papers. And typically the buyer and the seller sign the same day. So that's your closing date. And when you write a contract, you pick a date 30 days out that works for you because that's the day you're going to go close. Typically the seller moves out and everything happens on that day. So everything moves toward that point in time.
So what happens if you change your mind, and when is it too late?
You have an inspection period after the contract is accepted of 10 business days to do your home inspection. You would want, if you were going to change your mind, you would need to back out within that inspection period of time. But typically, I would say most people don't change their mind. They're pretty sure that's what they want to do. But if you're going to change your mind, I would do it pretty quick because you are going to incur expenses as a buyer because you pay for the home inspection. Although you're not required to do that, you could do it yourself. You could do your own home inspection. And you pay for the appraisal. And that's probably those two together, or depends on how much you pay for the home inspection, $800 to $1,000 for the two together. And you would just be out that money if you change your mind.
Finally, I want to talk to you about using a realtor. So how should you choose your realtor, and how do you know that you can trust your realtor?
In choosing a real estate agent, I would say get some referrals from friends. Ask them who they use, did they like them. Nothing wrong with going online and looking at reviews that they've had, because most agents have that you can just find them online and read their reviews, and then schedule an appointment to meet with them. Go to their office and sit down with them and talk to them and see if your personalities mesh. What hours do they work? Are they willing to work with you? And you might just pick a few houses and go spend half a day with them and see if do we work well together.
Mm-hmm. I know, like on TV and stuff, I always see realtors who are like if you notice something kind of weird about the house or something, the realtor tries to like spin it positively, like, oh, but you could still do this and you could do that. But like what I loved about working with you was that you would be like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like this is a little weird. You may not want this house for this reason. Like I just felt like you were really honest, and so like I feel like that's something that you should really look for in a realtor, is that they're going to be truthful with you about whether or not it's a good investment or not.
Well, we are selling you a home, and so that's the way we get paid. But I do feel like I don't look for the superficial prettiness of the house anymore. I look for the bones of the house, and if I see something that really concerns me, I'll point it out.
Yeah.
Because if you call me back in 3 months or say I hate my house, I want to sell it, I'm going to have trouble selling it too. So I want to get a good house, and I want you to be happy. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to resell it for you someday if you need to, and buy you a bigger one.
Yeah.
So
can you buy a house without using a realtor, and is there any benefit to doing it that way?
You can definitely buy a house without a realtor if it's a first-time owner. If it's listed, there's no point. I mean, you have to have a real estate agent involved, whether it be the listing agent or your own buyer or your own agent that you work with. But I would say it's a great idea to use an agent because they know so many ins and outs of the whole process. And you're only doing this, once every 5-10 years, and they do it every day.
Yeah.
So they know how to help you out and what to look for and give you advice, and it's money well spent. I've been told that many times.
In closing, do you have any general advice for young people who are hoping to become homeowners?
I would say it's fun to look online, for sure, especially if you know I'm not doing anything for 6 months. It gives you an idea of what's out there. But when you get serious about it and you're ready to start looking, I'd interview a few agents. Mm-hmm. Just talk to them and do the pre-approval part first, so you're ready there. I guess that's to wrap it up, is just to know what you want and know who you want to work with, and then start the process.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's really great advice, and thank you for joining us. That's all the questions that we have today for Laura, but if you have any questions, be sure to comment below, like this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this.